All right, here's a fun one I think you'll like. This girl, Anya, I believe her to be a visual INTJ, NIFI, sleep, consume, play, blast, last. So a very interesting type we don't have a lot of. Anya, again, watch me cover my ass, fucking pay attention. My best guess at this time is that she is a visual NIFI. One thing about the visuals that we see, interestingly enough, is some of them clustering, again, listen to the wording that I'm fucking using, is that the long-haired oftentimes will cluster in the visuals. She reminds me of Lindsay in the community a little bit. It's gonna be the same type, visual INTJ. Now she's gonna be super feminine activated down here, so feminine FS. So like you get with the visuals with this type, you get the feminine sensory, feminine feeling, but then the punchy on the NT and punchy on the tribe. You'll see that a little bit with her, right? And then super sleepy and consume. So a lot of consume story. These are always a fascinating type of like, how are you an IJ? And you're double activated consume. Let me just go ahead and get that little detail there. You saw that? Yep, that's right. So here's a little slideshow Shani did. So it's like you got Dave and Shan, so you got NIFI, and you got the NTJ visual, and then you get Elijah, which is kind of a combination of those. And then you get Layla. We did a quick video on her where she is a visual version of me, right? And then you get this girl here. So kind of the same hodgepodge of all these types here. All right, this first clip, notice that she's going to be spelling out her type. Now, if you know her type, this is going to be easy to type somebody if you know their type, because all of a sudden you're going to see it fucking everywhere. That's kind of the weird joke with this stuff. So she's going to talk about, as a IJ, she's going to be surprised by the things in the sensory.
All of this happened during lockdown. So the craziest thing was I was just kind of in my house, and then the internet was telling me that things were happening, but I don't believe it. So I'm like, oh, okay, fine.
I don't believe it.
And then I landed in New York, and I was like, nope, this is different. Must run.
Different.
But I think the thing that I love the most is the disparity between ages. Because you have like really little kids that love it, and then you have like 87-year-old people that are like, Beth! And I love that. That's my favorite.
Yeah, I bet it is.
Yeah.
I love that. That's my favorite. So I'm locked in the house, everything's weird, and then I didn't believe it, so you're seeing the fuck off with things, the surprising and the sensory, that's going to be the spiking. And then I love that you're seeing the value, the F. Also notice the clothing, the dress, kind of the sexy dressing. We'll see that at times with the visuals. The way people dress, especially if it's kind of extreme like that, that does tend to cluster in their sexual modality. This next clip here, you'll see a little bit of the masculine DE where some guy tries to fuck with her and kind of plays a paper, scissors, rock game with her out of nowhere. And watch how she looks at him with the kind of visual dagger eyes.
Do they want to tell you their interesting chess stories, or what? Or do they just say you were very good in it?
No, sometimes they want to play me at chess, but the thing is, it's like, A, I don't carry one with me. I'm sorry to disappoint. But B, the thing about jumping from project to project is that you gain skills for that particular project. So I'm like, yeah, chess was like 2 years ago. Now I'm like good at cars and stuff like that, so sorry.
Do people challenge you with other games?
Other games?
Yeah.
Oh.
Rock, paper, scissors right now. 1, 2, 3. Ha!
Good result, good result. That was nice.
Almost.
So listen to what I'm saying. It's not that the visual dagger eyes means that you're visual. It's that visuals oftentimes will have a clustering of visual dagger eyes because of the masculine DE, they're like the tribe is like daggery, right? Now, how you tell if she's visual, it takes a lot of time. You're like, if she's visual, I should be seeing feminine sensory, I gotta go check that. I should see masculine N, I gotta go check that, etc., etc. You gotta work down the coins. That's where you can prove it, right? Because you don't wanna do it backwards. You wanna be like, well, I have that same eyeliner, therefore I'm visual. It's like, maybe. You gotta do all the coins too.
Filming at nighttime in Soho in London is such an experience. The characters that you see, it's pretty wild. But what was also really funny is you're going to work and you're seeing your friends going out for the weekend and you're just like, what's real? What isn't real? Where am I? But it was so much fun also because I spent a lot of time in Soho in London, and because of our filming schedule, we got to find out all about these little alleyways and these shortcuts and stuff. So I now feel like I'm a secret spy of London Soho.
Imagination, a secret spy, analogies, what's real, what's not real. Like what's crazy is like everybody does that. Everybody like, yeah, we're working at night and the day, and so the clocks are fucked off. The double observers, you'd be like, yeah, it's crazy, it's weird, whatever. Anyways, they go back to work processing people. So that's what you're looking for. You're looking for, okay, I'm seeing an interesting story on, she's trying to process the daytime and what's real and what's not real, which is you pretty consistent with Savior N of like, am I in reality or am I still in my dreamland? Especially if it's like NIFI, like a deep NF like this, a deep introverted NIFI introvert, right? And then like, oh, I found these little shortcuts. I found these little, the SE, remember? Because the N at the top, therefore the SE is going to be the surprise at the bottom. So when I found this secret sensor thing, that's a big deal. Now, there's her little story, their little spiking of things, but you got to then go, okay, now, therefore, when she tells people, is that small? You know what I'm saying? Because you can have an EJ or an IP tell the exact same story in this exact same way, but then when they get to their decider stuff, it's going to be bigger. You know what I'm saying? So you got to see it in contrast with the other coin. How is she when she talks about self and people compared to that story?
It was really lovely because I had Matt there, and Matt
Lovely.
loved it, and he was so supportive and
Loved.
sweet. Because it's quite nerve-wracking to stand on a stage in front of people that you respect and admire, and at that point are your friends, you know, and just standing there and singing. But it was such an incredible experience, and it definitely, you know, I caught the bug from it for sure. I have loved collaborating with Steve Price. He's just so wonderful, and he has such an avid love for music, obviously, but he gets really into the details and the stories behind everything, and he's so supportive. And also just Edgar's excitement. Honestly, Edgar's excitement is really contagious and fun, and it just always makes you remember that you're doing something that you wanted to do when you were a little kid, you know, so it kind of keeps the dream alive in that way. So yeah, collaborating with the two of them. And they both are appreciative of when I go creepy, which I really enjoy doing. It is very fun to do like a little girl sing-songy, creepy voice on tracks. I enjoy that.
So how many times is she saying things like love, enjoy, right? You're seeing a lot of F, you're seeing a lot of value. She's not talking about, and then we did this, and then we did the thing, and then bunk, bunk, bunk. It's not an ST, it's not a T thing. It's so much love and value. Here, look at her fucking slide here. There's so much of this. I really like, enjoy doing that. And then notice the tribe, like, and then the other guy, and then he kind of works with me, doesn't work with, like, so you're seeing the very, we're talking about self and tribe, and it's pretty calm. It's not like, hey, I saw a thing in an alleyway, right? You see the difference there? Now, technically, if you get to know her enough, her hardest problem, her hardest function is actually going to be on the T, especially if that's masculine. So I didn't see it in any of the clips, but this would be like an example of like, all right, if I'm typing her correctly, and you were to watch more and more and more footage with her, you should find outbursts where she does get very upset and very attacky and very threatened by the tribe, and then double the sides her way back down. So see, it's like, I should be able to predict with total accuracy if I'm seeing her right. And that's where you can start to get the verification of like, well, why is my opinion of this person's type better than the other person's? Like, well, can you fucking predict everything they're gonna do and say? If you can, then you probably have their type better than I do.
I'm okay. I think it's very important to take every day as like a series of waves. Like I sort of feel like a very small boat, a very big ocean, and you just have to kind of deal with what's directly in front of you. And I've always been a person that's very much like in the future. You know, so much of my life is planned.
I'm
going to spend 4 months here and 4 months there. So it's quite a nice exercise actually to just stay still. It's something I'm not really used to.
So you're getting the classic NI analogies of the ocean and the waves, the same shit Dave always says, right? So when you're typing something, you got to make sure like, okay, she said that. That's an NI thing. A lot of NI say that same kind of shit. But then you got to really go, you got to be responsible for it. Did she just say that one time in that one clip? Is that just a one-time thing? Or is it she's saying that a lot? If I fast forward through a lot of different clips, do I keep hearing stuff like that with the lack of the sensory details, right? Again, the contrast, you got to watch a lot to get that ratio down. And then, is that consistent with her life pile 10 years from now and from 10 years ago? Is her life pile problem that she is just kind of looking at things in big picture waves and she is missing the details? You got to be able to see and predict all that, right? You know what I'm saying? It's not just did she say that analogy or not. You got to take in the whole account of their entire life.
My anxiety means when I'm nervous about something, I don't prepare, which is a terrible way of going about something. So I definitely showed up and went, oh Christ, okay, we're doing it. Like this is happening. But yeah, it was wonderful because Edgar he was very gracious and said, you know, this moment for Sandy is very important. How would you like this to go? Do you want a piano accompanist? Like, what do you want? And I just thought it would be really lovely for the audience to get to see her and her dream in a very vulnerable kind of state, just something that was understated and slower and just really allowed you to see her before you as the audience watch what happens to her. I think it was a good point of connection, I hope, anyway.
Okay, let me break down what you just heard. You heard the censor word, I don't prepare, and then your mind is fucked off on that. But then what you missed is she then goes to tell you everything that she prepares. Remember, the definition of OI is has a way. Has a way, prepares, controls, narrows down, concludes. So she says the censor word, I don't prepare, but then does every other description of OI. But your brain's like, oh, don't prepare OI, then you'll mark that one off. And then you missed all the other definitions of OI, which is why it's like, you got to reload. What is the definition of OI again? Go to the elimination tool and be like, what's OI? I mean, actually just go to the elimination tool. What is OI? Where is it? Where is it? Has a way, same story, concludes, stacks, narrows down, prepares, plans. I just have limited for space here. Write your own words out and be like, okay, that's what OI is. And then now you have to ask, is that what she then just did? She then said, this is what I want. This is how I want. And then she goes on to say a bunch of OI shit. And that, my friends, is what's throwing so many people on typing, is though if somebody will say a word, they're like, oh, I don't like the plan. And then the next 45 minutes, They're just OIing, but your mind already crossed it out.